Pro-veg, which is a non-profit organization that deals with food awareness, is urging South Africans to cut down on the meat consumption as part of the mitigation strategy against climate change. The entity is aiming to replace 50% of animal products globally with plant-based and cultivated foods by 2040. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo caught up with them about how food systems are affecting climate change and spoke to them in Dubai.
We're at the Agri-Food Pavilion where food systems are forming part of the discussions here at COP28. It's the first time that the Conference of Parties actually dedicates an entire day towards discussing this matter in relation, of course, to climate change. And one such organization that also has its own small pavilion within the much larger one is Pro-veg. You have a Food for Climate Pavilion, which is discussing what exactly, Donovan Will?
So what we want to do is really just explain to people that the food we eat has a really big impact on climate. 33% of the greenhouse gas emissions is coming from the agricultural sector, and 20% of that is from livestock. And up until now, countries aren't including it in the NDCs. We're not talking about it as a mitigating strategy for climate change.
How do you tell someone like me to stop eating meat, Donovan, and why?
So I think that's a big misconception. We're really telling South Africans to eat less. We know if we look at the average meat consumption in South Africa, it's just too much. It's too high. The greenhouse gas emissions are really high. And the land use, we're using, around the world, we're using 80% of the land, the agricultural land, for animals, but we're only getting a small amount of total calories and total protein from there. It'll be a lot more efficient for us to just use that land and for humans to be eating more plant-rich diets.
Okay, so what is the solution? More plants, less livestock? How do you change the entire ecosystem to work in that way?
Well, we're very excited to see that there's been a declaration on sustainable agriculture. Unfortunately, South Africa hasn't signed onto it yet, but we're hoping that they will. And I think that's the first step, to just let people know that this is happening. The food we eat has an impact on the environment. The food we eat has an impact on our health. The food we eat has an impact on food justice, on food availability, and eating more plant-rich food is the solution. It's like our grandparents told us, eat your veggies.
I mean, explain the science in a very simple way. So you're basically saying we're using too much land for livestock as opposed to vegetables. Is that the only way in which we're contributing towards the fossil fuels?
So there's so many things that are contributing. You know, there are the fossil fuels, there's aviation, there's maritime transport, there's big industry, and all of those things have been discussed. And we're just saying that plant-based food is a strategy that we can use. And if we want to get to the target and keep that in range, to 1.5, we have to look at all of the solutions that we have. And one of the solutions is definitely eating more plant-rich food.
I wonder then if that will help transform someone like me into becoming a vegan. Not quite. Donovan Will is with Pro-veg. He's here at the Agri-Food Pavilion talking about food systems. You've just heard him reflecting on how using too much land for livestock, and that's contributing to our fossil fuels and, of course, the carbon emissions. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ziyanda Ngcobo at Expo City in Dubai.